welcome back to another edition of Homemade, and today, you all, we are making one of the easiest yet tastiest soups that you'll ever make. You all, this soup, it can literally be done in 45 minutes. So if it's a cold day, I know I love to eat it on a cold day. If you're cold and you just want something to whip up really quick, you all, this is the go-to soup. We are just making a potato soup. That's it. Just a potato soup. And it is so simple, but again, it is so packed with flavor. And you all, I promise, if you make this soup, you can literally be eating within 45 minutes. That's just how simple this soup is. It's nothing complicated, nothing drawn out. So just to show you how simple it is, we are going to go ahead and get started. Now, I will say this. I'm going to make a disclaimer because I made some au gratin potatoes a few days ago, and we had some leftovers. So instead of just throwing them away, I decided to basically incorporate them into my soup. I have done that numerous amounts of time. So if you make scalloped potatoes or au gratin potatoes, anything like that, you have leftovers, this is one of the recipes that I like to use mine in. So instead of chopping up my normal 3 potatoes for this, I only chopped up 1, and we're going to use that 1 potato plus the potatoes that were a part of my au gratin potatoes that I have left over. So if you're not using any leftover potatoes, you do want to make sure that you chop up 3 to 4 potatoes, and the size that I like to chop mine up is about that size. I don't like to chop them up really small, and I don't like to chop them up really big, because what we're going to do initially is we would basically kind of mash the potatoes a little bit, not mash all of them, because you still want to be able to have the texture of some potatoes when you're eating your soup, but we are going to kind of mash some of them down. Now, I'll go ahead and go over the ingredients for this. Again, it is a very, very, very simple soup. So, of course, we know we will have our 3 to 4 potatoes. We are going to use 2/3 cups of sour cream. We're going to use 1 cup of milk. Now, if you want to use heavy cream, that is totally fine. I'm out, so we're going to use milk. I also have about 1/2 cup of sharp cheddar cheese. In my potato soup, I do like to chop up some spinach. Sometimes I just leave them whole. Now, the spinach are optional. You don't have to do that. That's just something that I like to put in mine. But here I have about 1 cup of spinach. We are going to use 3 tablespoons of flour, and that's just all-purpose flour. Here I chopped up 2 large sticks of celery, and I also chopped up a large purple onion. Now, we are going to use cream of potato, and we're also going to use cream of celery. For our spices, we are going to use 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. We have about 3/4 tablespoons of celery salt, and I also have about 1/2 tablespoon of our chicken bouillon. We are going to add 8 cups of water to this later on, but first we're going to go ahead and get started with just softening up our onion and our celery. So the way that we're going to do that is I'm going to put it into my boiler, and I like to start my heat on medium to high heat. So we're going to put in our 4 tablespoons of butter. Once that melts, we are going to go ahead, put in our celery and our onion, and we're just going to let those kind of cook down just a little bit until they're soft, but we don't want to overcook them when we're sauteing them, because again, they are going to be sitting in the liquid of our potato soup for a few minutes, so that's going to soften them up even more. I just like to saute mine starting out. So again, we're going to wait for our butter to melt. We're going to put in our onion and our celery. After we put in our onion and our celery, we're going to cover that, let it cook for about 3 minutes. Once those 3 minutes are over, we're going to take the top out. I'm then going to go ahead and pour in my flour. Once I put in my flour, I'll basically kind of break that up a little bit, and then we will deglaze our pan with our water. So we'll add in our water after the flour. Once we add in our water, we'll add in the seasonings. We're going to go ahead, add in our potatoes. We're going to cover that and let that cook for about 15 to 20 minutes just to soften up our potatoes. Once that's cooked, then we're going to take that off, put in our cream of celery, cream of potato. We're going to put in our sour cream, our milk, and our cheese. So it's a really, really, really simple process. Once we do that, we are going to reduce our heat, let it simmer on low heat for about 10 minutes. And you all, afterwards, we're going to have some awesome potato soup. We're going to go ahead and put in our celery. And we're also going to put in our onions. Now, you can go ahead and put in your seasonings or your spices onto your celery and onion at this point if you want to. I don't. I like to wait. So we're just going to cover that. Let that cook on high heat for about 3 to 5 minutes, just enough to soften up our vegetables. I'm going to whisk in my flour. I'm just going to kind of pour that all in. Now, you don't want this to brown as if you were cooking a roux, because this is just used as an extra thickening agent for your soup. I am going to slowly add in my water. And while I'm adding in my water, I'm still stirring it. So now we're going to put in our potatoes. We're going to go ahead, put in our seasonings. I like to just use my whisk once I do that. So let's go ahead, cover that, let that cook, and then we're going to come back, put in the rest of our ingredients. Our potatoes, along with our water, our celery, and our onion, they have been boiling for about 15 minutes. So let's go ahead, add in our cream of potatoes. Let's put in our cream of celery. And you all, this potato soup, again, it is so full of flavor. Now we're going to put in our milk, our sour cream. We're going to put in our potatoes. I do like to go ahead and put in my cheese also. The last thing that I do put in is the spinach. And I will put that in probably about 10 or 15 minutes before it is actually done cooking. So I will let this cook for about 10 minutes. And then I will come back and chop up my spinach in there. And then let it simmer some more. This potato soup smells so good. I mean, just OMG. And I like it because it is packed full of potatoes. Now, this is hot. And as you can see, I did put my spinach in like 15 minutes towards the end. I put some cheese and a few little bacon pieces on there. But this soup is so seasoned. It's so good. I promise you, when you try it, you will not be disappointed. This is good. When you try this, because you will try it, make sure, comments, pictures. Let me know if you liked it. If you didn't like it, let me know those things, you all. I want to know. But if you want to keep seeing our easy homemade recipes, make sure you like, subscribe, and share our channel. With that being said, as I always say, cooking is as easy or as hard as you make it. But I promise you, if you keep it simple, be yourself, life in itself can be so much easier. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Homemade. And until next time, continue to be great.